By now, I'm sure you know what phone this is, but if you want to know what it's like to own one, look no further. Here are my thoughts on owning the Galaxy S7 for more than a month. Samsung came back with its fancy and premium looking design with the Galaxy S7, and it looks very similar to the Galaxy Note 5, but not quite as big. Similar design or not, this is a good looking phone. It's got a full glass body with metal edges, and I've got to say, this is probably the most comfortable phone I've used from the Galaxy line since Samsung started going with this premium looking design. The back glass is curved, so it sits nicely in the hand, and while it may not be as slippery as the S6, unless you have a firm grip on the edges, you might still find that it likes to slide out your hand. While improved, I still find this pretty annoying. While a glass body is nice, one thing I hate about it is the fact that it gets fine scratches, and as you can see above my front-facing camera, I've got this ding that is just so frustrating, and also right on the fingerprint scanner you'll see another scratch, and I feel like that's going to be an issue that you'll come across over time with this guy. You're going to find a ton of tiny little scratches that can probably drive you crazy if you care about it. One-handed use is plausible since it isn't a massive phone, and that also means that doing standard things like making calls, texting, or even putting it away in your pocket won't be a big deal. The only other complaint I'd have here is the sheer amount of fingerprints that this thing attracts. It kicks my obsession with using microfiber cloths into high gear, and when it comes to stuff like this, my favorite solution is throwing a skin on it. Of course, you know I had to team up with Slick Wraps to see what they made for the S7, and if you guys are interested in seeing all their options so you can customize your own and avoid some of that slippage, be sure to hit the links in the description below. Buttons are pretty accessible since this isn't a massive phone, but I think it'd be nicer if the volume button sat a bit lower so that they could be reached with one hand. The home button also functions as a fingerprint scanner and works really well with unlocking the phone. Not only is it secure, but it's quick and accurate, which makes it my favorite way to unlock the phone. There are also a couple of awesome features built into the design of this phone. First being the SD card slot, which is finally back, and it's built into the SIM tray, which allows you to expand the storage from the standard 32 gigs it comes with. Since you can grab a 64 gig micro SD card for less than 20 bucks on Amazon, this is a very welcome feature. The other awesome feature Samsung packed into this design was waterproofing it without any extra flaps or pieces. This gives it some nice accident proofing if water or something else spills on it, and this is nice because we're finally starting to move away from that fear of having water damage in our phones. Now, I'm not going to bore you guys with reading off a spec sheet, but there are some specs that we can't ignore that impact the daily use of this guy. First thing is that marvelous Quad HD Super AMOLED display, and for my non-techies out there watching this that have no idea what a Super AMOLED display is, just know that this is probably one of the best screens you'll find on a smartphone. It's high resolution, super vibrant and colorful, and the blacks are really rich thanks to it being an AMOLED display, so watching your favorite videos and doing pretty much anything looks really good on screen. This display also allows for the awesome always on feature. You can have some info displayed like the date, time, and a few notifications without it taking up much battery, about 1% per hour. And this has to be one of my favorite features on this phone. You can glance at it for the time or to see if you have any missed calls without even having to turn on or touch your phone. The next notable spec for me was the 3000 milliamp battery. It won't last you 2 days or anything, but it will definitely take you through a full day with no problem. This was one of my biggest gripes with the S6, and I'm glad Samsung finally decided to increase the battery size. I definitely saw a nice boost in standby time, which used to be a huge issue. Another nice bonus with the S7 is fast charging. You can take advantage of this with the included charger or any other fast charger. In about 15 minutes, you can easily get 25%, and a little over an hour will get you a full charge. That's really good, especially if you need a quick charge before heading out. You also have the ability to charge wirelessly, and they've even added fast charging to the wireless, which makes it extremely convenient since you can just drop your phone on the pad and charge away. When it comes to actually using it and the performance you should expect, there's honestly nothing surprising here. And I say this because we're looking at a 2016 flagship by Samsung. It runs as fast as anyone would expect from today's flagships, and it handles playing some of the more intensive games with no problem. The different forms of multitasking are very smooth, and of course, basic social media browsing won't even make this thing flinch. And unless you're in it for the numbers game from benchmarks and that kind of stuff, I really can't imagine anyone thinking there are better performing phones out there. Even though Samsung is still rocking their TouchWiz skin over Android, I haven't found it too obtrusive, and in the past, I felt like TouchWiz hindered the experience on the Galaxy line, but with the newer, less in-your-face versions of it, it hasn't been a bother to me. And of course, we can't forget about those cameras. The S7 is rocking a 12 megapixel shooter in the back and a 5 megapixel shooter up front. This phone takes amazing photos. I love the quality that you get out of this, and if you're looking for sharp and very saturated, colorful photos, Samsung is who you want to talk to. Pictures come out great and super vibrant, and I can't say I was blown away by the low light performance when comparing it to some of the phones that are out there already, but it'll surely be fine for anyone who isn't putting it side by side with its competitors. Now I know Samsung dropped the megapixel count and made them bigger so low light performance would increase, but honestly, I still found more noise than I would have liked, especially for these kind of claims. I had quite a bit of fun shooting video with this, and I found that it looks just as good as it does with photos. And it even has optical image stabilization, so you can get some nice steady shots, but I did find that sometimes it did cause some warping depending on how fast you move with the camera. Overall, I was super impressed with the camera, and I think that goes for the phone as a whole. While I don't think it's a worthwhile upgrade from something like the S6 or any other phone from the Galaxy line released last year, it's still an excellent phone if you're on the market, and I'd highly recommend picking it up. But that's about it for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, be the cool guy or girl that gives this video a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel for more content from me. Till the next video, it's your average consumer. Peace.